features inspiring entrepreneurs as they meet the challenge head on. Scaling Through Crisis amplifies of the small business owners, startup founders, and scale entrepreneurs that are thinking big and finding opportunity in crisis, as well as inspiring a generation. My name is Lehlé Balde, and as I mentioned to you, this program is brought to you by Endeavor, which is a mission-driven global organization that believes that job creation, innovation, overall prosperity flourish where there is robust support for high-impact entrepreneurs. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce my guest today. His name is Oluyomi Ojo, and he's the CEO of Printivo, which is a company that combines the power of people and technology to change the way that Africans think. So Oluyomi, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for being with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and hopefully we get to share a few of the things we're doing, things we've learned, surviving the current pandemic that virtually every business and entrepreneur that I've known is going through.
Absolutely. So first of all, let me start by asking, how are you doing, and how has the COVID-19 pandemic, how's it going for you?
Okay, so we're doing fine, and I'll start by saying we were not, just like every other business owner, we were really not prepared for this. We all had goals for the year, we all had projections for the year, products that were to be launched, new markets that were to be captured, and then in March, things started looking differently in the earlier weeks of March as the first case was discovered in Lagos. And then by third week of March, we knew that the city of Lagos and probably some other cities in Lagos would end up locking down. And it was clear that beyond this business being slowed down by this is actually going to affect our business at Printivo to a very large extent. First, because we serve small scale businesses. So 85% of our customers are small business owners who were really, really hit by the economic impact of the pandemic. Secondly, we serve the event industry. So from conferences to birthdays to weddings to all sorts of events, because people are ordering invitations, banners, event decoration, things that are physical print products used for events. And then our third class of customer are marketing experts. So below the line marketing, branding, and the rest, which were of activities that needed physical engagement. So imagine this happening at that time, and it was clear that we were going to be very, very impacted. But again, as a team, we were able to say, okay, you know what? We have two options: die during this period or pull through this period. And I remember vividly calling a meeting of management, and then immediately after that, we moved to a town hall meeting, and we were like, this is the reality. Now, how do we get to it? And from that meeting, every single decision we've made has been about getting through the period and scaling. Wow, this is actually affecting us, seeking new markets, new opportunities, and even reshaping our activities, our internal activities as a company to accommodate some of those decisions that we actually have to make. And I mean, here we are today. We're still pulling through. Yeah.
No, I mean, thank you so much for giving us some of the background of how you're doing and how Printivo is doing. But just for our audience, could you tell us in your own words a little bit about Printivo? Yeah. We know that it's a printing company. So tell us a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Printivo is an online print company that empowers people to order prints via the internet. So basically, you come to the Printivo website and you choose whatever you want to print, and you can easily design on the website, add your own design on our templates, and place your order. And within days, so usually within 5 to 7 days, once your design has no issues and you've uploaded your design, your item gets dropped at your doorstep anywhere in Nigeria. Now, here's the thing. This used to be activities that you have to physically go to a print shop, make calls. Like go through a lot of hassle before we could do. But what we've done is to reduce the timeline, and then what you actually have to go, the stress you actually have to go to that away before you order print. So we are a combination of technology company and a printing company, but simply put, e-commerce for printing. That's what we are. So our customers print things like letterhead, business card, flyers, custom gift items like picture mugs, picture throw pillow, picture frames, paper bags, custom cups, custom water bottles, t-shirts, gift items, like a wide range of products. As of today, we have 125 SKUs. Yeah. So basically, that's what Printivo is.
Providing. Okay. So providing printing service, but you're mixing aspect of technology with it.
Exactly.
And you're allowing to upload these designs, also save them time. For example, as opposed to going into the
exactly.
Okay, fantastic. So to talking a little bit more about how you towards the end of the program, but I'd like to talk a little bit about innovation and leading through crisis. So you know, as a startup and as a company, how the COVID-19 pandemic affected you briefly, but how have you been able to keep innovation at the heart of your company's time?
Okay, so here's the thing. Whatever you're going to do during a thing like what we are currently going through right now, it's something that you're prepared for even before it happens. So right from the onset for us at Printivo, we've been a technology-driven company. So virtually everything we do, including the print process, is tech-driven. All files are stored in the cloud. Customers are able to order. Teams can easily work remotely and all that. So immediately we knew this was going to happen in March. We just first and foremost switch to what we call hybrid workflow, which is part of the team would work remotely and part of the team would work from the office. So we literally moved every team that can work remotely to working offsite. So from customer service, tech team, order management team, sales team, marketing team, everybody moved offsite. And what that did for us was, first and foremost, we were able to protect the team and reduce the overhead on the company. And with that, the teams that work from the office were basically the fulfilled. So it was the only part of the business that was open physically was our fulfillment center. However, we were still able to fulfill all through this period, and I mean, customers will order their item and it gets shipped to their doorstep. So again, this boils down to processes that have been created even before the pandemic. Anything you order on Printivo is printed right in the cloud, managed in the cloud. So there is no physical transfer of file, somebody having to take a print file from one part of the company to another. And that in a way eased our operation, how we were able to operate during the pandemic. The second one was the fact that we have a team that is very, very integrated, even though people are not physically on site. So there's no secret in the company. People know what is going on. People know how much we're making. People know when we're doing well, when we're not doing well. So it's not a point where you are calling team members to say, oh, sales are down or sales are up, right? 80% of the team knows what the numbers are like at every given time. It's just a matter of logging into the dashboard and you can see the company numbers. And so again, we were able to get everyone on board with that, and we all knew what we have to do to actually get through this period. One of the things I've also learned over this, because again, I mean, this is the first time we are all experiencing this, right? So there's no one that can come to say to you that, oh yeah, I'm actually very, very experienced in surviving the pandemic or scaling to the pandemic. we're all learning how to actually do this. It's literally, you're literally flying your airplane and building it at the same time. So it's while you're in the sky, you discover, hey, I don't have the wings, quickly put it. Oh, the radar is not functioning, quickly fix it. So it was a case of we were right inside it and we're just trying to figure what is going on out. And one key thing is communication. Communication to every single stakeholder within and outside the company. For example, you want investors, you must know, you must let your investors how good things are and how bad things are. And same goes for the team, same goes for the customer community. You must let everybody know what is going on. That way, you're able to bring everyone on board. You're able to get help. And then as you take decisions, people get to understand why those decisions are being taken, are being taken. And with that, we were able to actually scale to the early part of COVID-19, which was really the month of April to be specific. As a matter of fact, we lost over 50% of our sales during that month, but we were able to actually bounce back. I mean, yes, and it's expected because, again, like I said earlier, the bulk of our business is from the event industry. The small scale businesses are our biggest customers, and I mean, we were seeing customers literally backing up. So when your customers are shutting down their businesses, what does it mean for your own business, right? And again, as we were learning through the process, we're also sharing our experiences with our customers via email, with our communication to say, oh, here are the things we're doing to get through this. But you also can actually do some of these things as well. Yes.
Okay. I mean, you made a really good point. You know, when the COVID-19 pandemic started, obviously all events had to come to a stop. So no more concerts, no more conferences, and I think when a crisis of this sort happens, usually the first thing to go away is the marketing budget.
It's the marketing budget,
right? So I can imagine
it's the marketing budget.
Yeah, so I can really imagine that you know, you saw a lot of downfall in your profits. But so now that you know, the lockdown has been somewhat relaxed, at least in Lagos, most people are going to work at least on a semi-regular basis. So can you tell us about how your operations are operating now? Like what's the latest on that?
So here's the interesting thing. Because of how we were able to operate in April and the fact that we realized that a large number of the team can actually get work done without being on site, which is something we've actually been trying and doing before the pandemic actually hits all of us in the face. As of today, we still run a system that is above 50% remote. So we still have a large number of the team working from home, just few people. Probably if you need to have a meeting in the office, you need to physically pick an item in the office, that's when you actually come into the office. And I personally like it that way because people get to get work done, and we're able to save our team the stress of commuting to the office, and most importantly, the risk of being out there and getting infected by the virus. Because let's not deceive ourselves, we are still in the middle of this thing, and new cases are being discovered every day. So the question is, how do you deliver quality service to your customers without having to physically be in places? And that's exactly what we're doing. So beyond just doing this in April, we are still doing that right now.
Okay, well, I mean, it's good to know that you're still taking into consideration that we are in a pandemic, because you're right. It seems as though people are starting to relax. People are starting to forget. You know, you walk outside, you see people are not really wearing masks. People are back to work. So it's good that you're keeping your employees and your customers' health first. So do you envision that, you know, given the fact that you've seen that working from home works for you and works for your particular company, do you think that you'll continue implementing these working from home policies even after the pandemic? Like, would you shut down some of your physical offices, or do you have any plans for that?
So we've actually officially shut down some of our physical operations.
Okay.
And we did that in April during the lockdown. And immediately the lockdown was relaxed, we realized that there's no point in opening those physical operations as long as quality service is still getting done. So, I mean, we've seen that remote work works for a larger number of the people on our team. And what we are currently doing is just figuring out how to make that a lot more efficient, right? But it can always get better. And we continue to keep this policy. Again, even when this is over, we will still continue to keep this policy because that then gives us the access to talent pool that is not that don't reside in cities where we have operation, which is Lagos and Abuja. So we can actually hire people from outside these cities and then get them to deliver value. For me, I've learned and I've realized that remote work works as long as you can figure out how to make it work for your own operations. And that's exactly what we're doing now. So even when this is over, we're still going to be like, we're still going to remain like this.
Okay. No, well, that's good. I mean, I think it's refreshing to hear this kind of point of view because not a lot of CEOs have this point of view. A lot of people are still very traditional when it comes to the future of work. So, so do you have any advice for CEOs that might be a little bit older in age or even your age about just kind of working from home and kind of the benefits of that?
So I think the first thing people need to understand is that working from home is good for the company and it is good for the employees, for the team, for people on your team. When people work from home, what then means is that you are able to reduce your cost as a business in terms of having to physically keep people in the place. But you also need to provide tools for your employees to be able to work remotely. So what you're doing is converting those costs that you have spent on pulling 55 people into 2 floors in a building. You are using it to provide tools for them to work from home, access to Slack, access to internet, and a few other things that can make work a lot more efficient for them. So one of the things I tell CEOs in my shoes, you know what, try it first, right? But again, build a policy around it. It's easier for teams to drift away when they are not physically together in the same building. So your goal is to actually set expectations right for everybody on the team. People know what their job is. They know when to deliver it, and they know that someone somewhere on the team can't get his or her job done if they don't get theirs done. So that helps to actually get people to deliver. And that's exactly how we are structured in Printivo. So every single role overlaps another role. So the point is, if someone is not getting his own job done, you're most likely not going to be able to get your own job done. So you are the one calling that guy to chase that guy that, dude, I can't move forward. So remote work works, and I'm encouraging CEOs to actually try it. I mean, we have a business where we cannot go 100% remote because we have physical operations where things are actually shipped physically to our customers. But what we've done is that we've moved to a point where even those who physically come into the office to get things done, they work based on shifts. So you are working today, you're not working tomorrow. You are working tonight, you're not working during the day. So it's just to create the balance. Yeah, exactly, and reduce the number of people we physically have in our fulfillment centers. So you only have, the fulfillment center is only filled to 40 to 50 capacity on a daily basis, which with that you can actually implement social distancing because this guy is sitting like far away from the next guy, and also puts health into play even within the office. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, thank you for answering that. Thank you so much for answering that. So now I want to pivot a little bit and talk a bit more about you, kind of as an entrepreneur, and just a little bit about the beginning of Printivo. So you're a graduate of pure and applied mathematics from the University of Technology, Ogbomoso.
Yes. Yes.
So you further received training from the Miami Advertising School of the University of Arts, London. And essentially you've built a company that is essentially pioneering online printing in Africa. And you've received multiple awards, from very esteemed organizations. So I wonder if you can take us back a little bit. How did it all start? What made you want to decide to start Printivo? Tell us a little bit about, the beginning.
So prior to Printivo, in my final year in school, I worked as an intern in an advertising agency, and I loved the job. I was an intern art director. Few months after I joined, the art director left, and his jobs were dumped on my table. So I had so much responsibility to myself for a 24-year-old boy. I spent the next 1 year working with that ad agency and eventually left to go start my own design company, which I ran all the way from 2008 till 2013. And it was around this time. Now, if you know how branding and advertising companies work, you work with various vendors. So from the sound maker to the photographer to the printing company to the media buyers, media planners, and whatever. And some of the most difficult people to work with back then were the printing companies, because you send your files to the print guy. 1 week later, it's not back. When it eventually comes back, it is bad. And you have a client who's supposed to launch a marketing campaign the next day, and then you are stuck in between. So we had this experience multiple times, and at some point in 2013, I called the team and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start my own printing company, but I'm tired. And that was how the idea of Printivo started. And it was around that time that what you see happening in fintech right now in the Nigerian tech space, where quite a large number of people are opening fintech startups. 2012, 2013, 2014, those were the years when e-commerce was the fintech of that time. So Konga was founded, Jumia was founded, Supermarket was founded, Blue was founded. Quite a large, hotels of engineering. A large number of e-commerce companies were founded around that time. And while working on the idea of launching our own print company, it struck us that what if we build something that can empower people to order things online, just like the other things on Jumia and Konga. That was how the idea of Printivo was born. And we launched Printivo in 2014, January, 100% bootstrapped. And we raised our first external venture capital in 2015. And 2016, we got accepted into 500 startups. Raised additional funding from other institutions, and then that's been the story from there till now. So it was something that was born out of just being pissed with the current service provider, with the service providers of that time.
Right. So you essentially were trying to solve your own problem. You said, okay, you know what, I can do this.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Wow, that's great. So, I think I have a couple of questions from the answer that you gave us. And I think the first one is kind of around, the innovation behind Printivo. Because if you think about it, there's so many printing companies around, right? There's printing companies at every corner. But when you look at Printivo, you guys have been able to raise significant finance. You've been able to merge technology and printing. So what was the differentiating factor that you had in comparison to the other printing companies that maybe haven't been able to scale to the extent that you have?
I think for us, the differentiating factor till this moment is the customer interaction. The fact that you can sit at any corner in Nigeria and just log on to Printivo and place an order. That first. Print is a custom service. It's not like any other e-commerce business where if you order anything, you are literally picking something off the shelf and everything shipped to you. For us at Printivo, anything you order, you're literally customizing something for yourself. And the fulfillment process also means that something is going to be created and customized before being shipped to you. So we are not your regular e-commerce company where something is picked, an SKU is picked from the shelf, packaged, box, and shipped to you. When you place another on Printivo, then that's where the real work starts, which means someone somewhere has to fire an equipment and print what you've ordered, and then box it to shape, fix it exactly the way you want it, and ship it to you. Now that's our first differentiator. The second differentiator for us is the ability to build trust with our clients. Now, like I said earlier, everything you order on Printivo is custom built. So when we started Printivo, the most popular payment method then was pay on delivery. So if you order anything online, it gets shipped to you, not committing any cost or any cent to it. If you like, you may take it. If you like, you may not take it. But for us, we couldn't do that because for every single item that goes out of Printivo, it's already customized. You can't set. So if you order something on a regular e-commerce site, you order an iPhone, it gets to your door, like, I don't want it again, or there's something wrong with this iPhone. They'll take it from you and go sell it to someone else. But if you order anything on Printivo and you say, oh, it was a mistake, I was just joking, I wanted to play, see if it works. There's no way, I mean, which was very common with other e-commerce companies. There's no way we can take that product and sell it to someone else. So from the onset, we were clear that we will not do pay on delivery. Customers will commit and pay like they're ordering from any regular e-commerce company outside Nigeria. However, we build 3 layers of trust, right? So the first layer is that you have to promise that you'll be shipped. What will be shipped to you is what you ordered for and to get to your time. The second one is that if that's for any reason that layer fails, you will be rest assured that you will get a replacement shipped to you. Now the third layer is if the first fails, the second one fails, the third one is that you are sure to get your refund. So those 3 things have actually helped us to build very, very strong trust with our customer base. And we've learned that even when we refund, the customers that we actually refund to, they always come back. So again, it's the interaction, the processes, the quality of what we ship, and most importantly, the trust part of the business. I mean, we've had instances where Printivo customers, for one reason or the other, we dropped the ball. Yes, we dropped the ball. And the customer is very angry, like very, very angry, very, very pleased. But we would do anything and cross any lines to make that one customer happy. And it's just who we are.
Okay. No, I mean, I think that's good. So customer appreciation is at the focus of your business. I was doing some research on you online and on Twitter, and on your bio, you actually have something about like being customer oriented or customer
centric.
So I think that's really cool because I don't know that. I mean, I think most companies would like to say that, the customers are the number one priority and the customers come first. But I think that in reality, that isn't always the case.
They probably aren't doing that.
Right. So how do you, I mean, obviously as a CEO, and founder of the company, you take pride in the company that you built. But how have you been able to pass on that kind of ethos to the people that work in your company?
The first one is the hiring process. We hire for that. So the entire hiring process is trying to figure you out. If you are that person that somewhere at the back of your mind, you have this ethos where if I take money from someone, I have to deliver value for that. That's the first thing we want to know. Now, also, this culture goes from top to the bottom. So it's not a point where you are literally telling people what to do. You are doing it with them. Everyone is involved in the customer. I mean, for us, customer service is not a department. Customer happiness is not a department. It's what we all do. And most importantly, it's about what you reward as a company and what you punish for. So, for example, and that builds what people will do. So for us, it's you reward for people, you reward people for making customers happy, and you reprimand the opposite. And that over time has built a culture where anytime there is we call it crisis within a company. So it's crisis. Anytime there's an unhappy customer out there, there's a crisis within a company, and people are juggling left and right and center to just get that customer to be happy, no matter what. Like, we would go any length, and if in the end we can't fix it, you call the customer and say, you know what, your refund will hit your account, and they always get their refund.
No, fantastic. That's really great. I really hope that.
And then most importantly, you empower people to get their job done. So people don't need to reach top level management to make a customer happy, or to take a decision, or make sacrifices to make customer happy. Every team member knows that he has the power to go the extra mile for the customer.
No, fantastic. I think that's a great approach. I mean, I know there's a saying that says the customer is always right. Some people tend to argue, you know, whether that's true or not. But it's good to hear that you guys think of your customer first. So now I'd like to talk about you know, how you were able to raise funds for your business, essentially to scale it. Earlier you mentioned that you bootstrapped and then you had funding. So tell us a little bit about that. How were you able to, you know, raise the first funding for your business?
True confession, when we launched Printivo, the goal wasn't to scale Printivo with external funding. We just wanted to build a business, and raising money wasn't part of the deal, wasn't part of the thoughts, wasn't part of the plan. But 6 months into the business, we got an email from a PE firm, and they were like, "Hey, we love what you guys are doing. Can you arrange a meeting with key decision makers? Let's see if it's something we can do together." And I remember when I got that email, I was like, "Holy jeez, I've never spoken to investors before. I don't know how this works. I knew nothing about how to build a pitch deck, like zero, nothing." So, but I had Sim Shagaya's phone number. So I called him and I was like, "Hi Sim, my name is Oluyomi, CEO of Printivo." He's like, "Oh yeah, I know your company." And I was like, "Yeah, this is the situation. We've been contacted by these guys. I'm supposed to have a meeting with them next week. And trust me, if I walk into that meeting, I know nothing." And I was like, "Oh, where are you? Let's meet quickly." And I met with him that evening. And this was just shortly after Sim raised money from so I think they just did not for Konga, you know, and he just did the second round, the series, I think series A for series A or B, I can't remember, but they are just close to round. And I went straight to meet him in his office, and we sat down for an hour or two. He just ran me through what's expected of me and all stuff like that. And I went back, did my own research, and we set for the meeting. I went for the meeting with these guys. And, you know, few minutes into the meeting, they were like, hey, stop. You guys are 6 months old? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, no, we are PA firms, man. What you guys are doing is for angels and VCs. They have appetite for early stages. We don't. But we like what you're doing. We've seen this model worked in other parts of the world, and we think what you're doing is good. So we introduce you to VCs and angels that we think would have appetite for the size of your team. And that evening, the intro came, and we started having conversations with those guys. So meeting upon meetings, presentation upon presentations, due diligence, yada. We did that for another 8 months, and then we received the first funding.
Don't let me ask, how much was the first?
We raised $250,000. Okay. And right after raising that, Nigeria and then growth went, and then started scaling pretty fast, and this was 2015. And towards the end of 2015, the Naira started declining. By the time we moved into 2016, the decline continued. And by 2017, Nigeria was in a recession.
Right.
And that really took a lot of effect on almost all of us that raised money, including Printivo, around that time. So it was a lot of battle and everything. But eventually, we went ahead and raised additional money from 500 startups, LoftyINC Ventures platform, Afropreneur Fund, and increased to increase how much we raised as a company. And we started growing in terms of the team and the rest. And that's been the case over the last those years. And here we are.
And here you are in 2020. Wow.
2020, yeah.
Okay, so you bootstrapped. You got an interesting email from someone that you did not know that was interested in,
Yeah. A PE firm actually. It was at Lehlé, yeah.
Okay, and then they introduced you to some angel investors and VCs, and it just better and better from there.
You just took it from there, yeah.
Okay, no, fantastic. So this is a really interesting business that you have, and I find that the model that you have, I don't know that it's been replicated that well. If I look around the market, I don't know that I know many printing companies that have received VC funding of the amount that you mentioned. So you're obviously doing something right. And what I see is, I think the technology aspect is a huge component of that. Okay, no, that's
absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So so in terms of the printing industry, there's always this conversation around print will be dead.
What's the future of print?
Yes, I work at a newspaper, so people always kind of say that, and it's interesting. The debate is kind of ongoing. So what are your thoughts on that? What's the future of print?
I'll answer that question by first saying that commercial printing is different from print media.
Yes.
Now, the reason why digital technology and the rest, especially digital contents, they are having a lot of, why print media is receiving a lot of blow from that segment is because that industry is 100% about the content. And so the moment the content was moved away from the newspapers somewhere else, the value of the newspapers dropped. And no one would value that kind of value again. So technically, if I can read my content on my phone, why would I buy a newspaper? Now, let's roll it back to print media. It's a print, commercial printing. The reason why people print is because there's something tangible to it, right? Your gift items are not going to get digitized. So people will continue to print gift items. People will continue to host events and use physical branding. People will continue to wear custom t-shirts. Companies will continue to need packaging. They will continue to put stickers on their products and the rest. People will continue to need branded items for events and what have you. And so if we look at the numbers, right, and this all the way to this moment, you see that commercial printing continues to grow despite digital technology scaling. It grows with technology. While print media has been in a total decline. As a matter of fact, the future of print is in what we call customization. So the ability for me to actually be able to print anything on time, anything, anytime, anywhere, to be able to use for whatever I want to use it for. Something that is mine. So as a small business, if you backtrack 10 years from now, a small business cannot wake up and say, oh, I want to print just 100 units of business cards. I want to print just 100 units of flyers. The printers will tell you, no, you have to print 1,000. But you see, the ability to actually customize fewer things, right? It's getting better day by day. So again, like I said, the future of print is customization. right? And people being able to wake up and say, oh, I'm starting a business, I need to have an event, and I can actually get something printed that is customized ASAP, right? Elections, events, what have you, people will always need to print physical things to hold, from t-shirt to face caps to umbrellas to name it. So, like I said, the future of print is huge, and it's going to ride on technology to scale. As unlike print media, where everything tends to be on the data, basically because people have seen other options and they are consuming their content elsewhere. The truth is, why would I consume my content holding a big newspaper when I can consume it on an iPad? However, I can't pull out a t-shirt from a branded t-shirt from an iPad and wear. I will still need that to be physically printed. So, and that's why we're 100% sure that there's a future for print. Again, the numbers, the details are in the numbers. Growth in one segment, decline in the other segment. And if you look at how, businesses that are going into print, sometimes last year, Amazon launched Amazon Prints, right? Yes. Amazon will never ever be in a business that doesn't have a future. They launched Amazon Print last year, where you can actually order printed gift items, printed photo books, printed pictures, and all that. So again, it's in the details, it's in the insights. But I love answering this question because every now and then I get asked this question. Every now and then, like, yeah, we see print is dying. It's like print is not dead, and you see print is the first technology. That's first mass production technology was print, right. And every single technology that has happened after print has been, people have prophesied that technology will keep print. So when radio came, people were like, yes, this is the end. We don't need print again. We have radio. But here we are still printing. And then when TV came, they were like, finally, television, that's the end. You don't need print again. But here we are. And then the internet came and they were like, yes, finally.
This is it.
This is the one that will keep print. But you see, here we are, print is still scaling on the infrastructure and the connections that the internet has provided.
No, absolutely. I think for me, I don't necessarily think, there'll always be people, even in newsprint, who appreciate a newspaper. I think there's people who are old school like that who appreciate newspaper. But
by the way, I need to say that people were very, very happy when ebooks were like, oh yes, I can put 100 books in one device, ebooks this, ebooks that. Well, the numbers again don't lie. The sales of ebooks is in decline and has flattened out over the last couple of years. And the sales of physical books, hardbacks, and speaking of again,
exactly.
Things you have to.
Exactly. So again, I totally agree with you. So I think that it depends. There'll always be people who appreciate reading books as opposed to reading them online. There'll always be people who appreciate, reading a newspaper as opposed to online articles. So I think you just have to figure out who your target market is and just kind of stick to that. Yeah. So that's really interesting. So print, in your opinion, is not dead. Well, that's good to know. So I'd like to take a couple of questions here that we have from the audience, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Okay. So we have a question here from somebody called Kayode, and he's saying that he wants to study digital marketing and art design for university, and he wants to start a business. And he's just wondering how if you have any advice for him. He wants to study graphic design and arts at university. And he knows that when he gets out of university, he wants to start his own business. So he's asking for advice, any advice that you may have in terms of his university journey, anything that he can do along the way, internships, things of that sort.
Hi, Kayode, thank you for that question. Looking at my own personal journey, first I did not study anything related to arts or design in university. I studied applied maths. But I was able to learn a lot on my own, and eventually I got an internship that changed my life. But I've also, over the last couple of years running my own business, I've hired people, I've worked with people whose journey I can also pick one or two ideas from. One of the things I'll tell you is it makes a lot of sense to spend the next 4 years of your life studying what you really have passion for, which is art or graphic design. So if you're going to go into any university, try as much as possible to study a course that is related to that. There's no point studying something else for the first 4 years of your life and then pivoting when you're done. I think it makes a lot of sense. Just start from that. And secondly, you have to start your own business, but I would advise that while in school, get internships and try to work with people. If you can sacrifice a year or two of your life post-university to actually work in an organization that is doing exactly what you want to do. Trust me, the things you take away, they are priceless, right? And I think that's it. But the best way to learn is to actually be doing this thing, right? It's like playing football. You can't read how to play football in the book. You have to be on the pitch. So even if you read how to play football in books and you take online courses on how to play football, and you're still going to get on the pitch. So learn to do those things, but get on the pitch and play.
Okay, thank you for that. So we have another question here from Emilia. She's saying, I'm having a difficult time raising funds for my business. There doesn't seem to be any loans available and my family doesn't have money to give me. Do you have any advice on how I can raise money for my business effectively?
Hi, Emilia. I've been diagnosed. We all have been, but one of the things I've learned in the last few years of doing this is that if we first focus on building a business that can scale, or having a solution that people want to pay for, then our chances of building something great it's higher. So I'll cite the Printivo example. When we launched Printivo, yes, we were able to have. I had saved money from my first business. I would plow into Printivo in the early days, but from month one, we ran out of cash. But we were able to make money from revenues from customers to keep the business afloat. And we did that for over 16 months before we raised our first funding. What that meant is that we were able to actually build a business that people were willing to pay for. So even though we weren't growing at the scale that we would have grown if and when we raised external funding, at least we were able to build a business and then take care of our expenses. So again, try as much as possible to stay in the business where you know that you can make some money from, and then scale from there. Now, on raising money from VCs or from banks and the rest, trust me, and I've said it every now and then, people that follow me on Twitter, they understand. Understand. Nigeria is one of the most wherever you are raising money from, whether you're raising from banks or you're raising from VCs. As a matter of fact, every time I see people, when you see people announce that, oh, this company just raised XYZ $1 million from XYZ investors, you must understand the kind of work, hard work that has gone into raising what they've raised and building what they built. But one of the things I try to tell people is that you have a passion to be an entrepreneur. Doesn't mean you have to be an entrepreneur now. There are chances that you can actually work with other organizations, learn a lot, make some money to save up for your own startup, and start small. Especially if there's no FFF to fund you. And what I call FFF are friends, families, and fools. I use the word friends, families, and fools because these are people that will, exactly, friends, family, fools. These are people that Like if you walk up to them and say, hey, I have a business idea, I need $30,000 to build this thing. They're like, oh yes, if these boys are our brother, let's put this money together for him. And they are doing it because they are your friends, because they are your family members, and because they are foolish. Just like because they want to do this too. So, and most of them actually don't, they're doing it not because they want to return, they're doing it because they believe in what you do. But it's not everybody that have those FFFs that can actually fund their business. So when you're in that shoe, I think the first thing you need to learn is to start really, really small. Also, you also need to understand that raising money is both a science and art. People want to fund what they know will work, and they want to fund the people they know that can build those things. What it means is that the external investors that want to fund your money is funding it for return. It's not funding it because he likes you, because he likes your face. It's funding it because he sees that this thing can be the next big thing, and if it becomes the next big thing, then I'm going to make a lot of money if I just own a piece of his pie. And that's why that person is funding it. In addition, there are other opportunities of raising money, not just from banks, not just from investors. I know that we don't have a lot of grants out there like today, like before.
Grants, loans,
I mean, exactly.
People complain that those are not accessible. Yeah, people always.
Yeah. So exactly. So you do grants, chase grants. I remember when we started Printivo, there were quite a number of grants out there then that businesses were able to chase. We got the Salatis in Jumia, we got Lehlé. Every time, so you have to like get those information, keep your ears open. There's always one grant or the other to actually apply for. And the good thing with grants is that they always come with no string attached. So you can easily use these grants and use it to fund your business and build your business without losing equity. And that gives you the time and the little cash to actually take this thing off the ground up to a point where you can execute, and someone out there will say, okay, no problem, let me actually check.
So essentially like creating something of value and creating a service.
Yes, absolutely. Something customers love, right? Eventually, we'll be able to do the lesson part of it. But the first thing is usually not the fund. It's usually what do I create that customers are ready to pay for.
Okay, no, fantastic. Okay, so we're kind of getting to the end a little bit of the program. So I just wonder, what I like to ask our guests is, do you have anything that you want to share with the audience? Whether it's, a few words of wisdom, some advice, or, anything that's on your heart that you'd like to share.
Yeah. So I think the only thing I want to share with people is, in the last 3 months, we've all moved from being surprised to being worried to being sorry for ourselves, to asking ourselves, what have I gotten myself into, to looking at other people and saying, oh, this person is coaching me. What's wrong with me? And then to attending so many online courses and everything, how to survive in a pandemic, how to survive in a post-pandemic world, and everything.
Right.
I think the first thing I tell fellow entrepreneurs this time is look at your business and ask yourself these questions. One simple question: what do I need to do for me and this business is to make it through this period? Right. So making through it is the first goal. And don't beat yourself to it. None of us have actually survived a pandemic before.
Right.
Whether business-wise or exactly. So this is like the first time ever. So I can't come to you and say, yeah, I'm an expert in surviving pandemics.
Right.
Exactly. So we're all learning, right? And the openness to learn new ideas and even look at whatever you've learned from this person who in a way is crunching it through this pandemic. What can I add? What can I discover on my own? What can I learn on my own? What can I try on my own to get through this period? And trust me, if you have to sell bread for your business to survive, even though you are defeated, you better be selling that bread right away. And a typical example is Airbnb. When they launched, they ran out of cash, and they had to sell Obama customized cereals. So they had to customize boxes with Obama's picture on it, and we packaged standard Oreos into those standard cereals into those Obama boxes, and sold it at 2x the price at Democratic Party events. And they were able to make $10,000 from that business, and they were able to use that business to survive the recession of that year. And I'm talking of Airbnb, which today is a unicorn. So if you have to sell akara for your business to survive this period, like, just freaking do it.
Right.
And don't try to say you're looking for perfection. You want to learn from somebody who is one guy or one entrepreneur that knows how to survive pandemic. No, we've all survived one before.
No,
So
I mean,
basically, that's my advice.
So essentially, you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
Akara, that's what you have to do.
I mean, we are selling face masks right now as I'm talking. Printivo sells face masks.
I was going to ask you about that.
We're selling face masks.
I saw your website. You're selling face masks. You're selling PPE protection gear. So you're basically like, that's innovation at its peak, right? So tell us a little bit about that, actually, before we go. I saw that.
We are an online printing company, but in a pandemic like the one we have now, what do people want to buy?
That's
so
true.
We had to figure out a way to give people custom PPEs, right? Custom face masks, custom face shield, custom everything. Again, because the next thing you will see is your revenue curve is dropping. And whatever you have to do to kick that curve back up, as long as it's not criminal, please, like I tell entrepreneurs, do it. Just do it. Right? If someone had told me in December to say, hey, Yomi, by March this year, 2020, Printivo will be selling face masks and face shield and gloves and all those things, I would really look at the person in the face and just laugh.
What are you saying?
Like, what are you saying? But here we are doing that, and I'm very happy because beyond just selling that to survive as a company, we've also been able to add social value to that. For example, for every 5 masks we sell, we ship out a unit, 1 mask to people who need masks. So, which means for every 1,000 masks that Printivo sells, someone somewhere gets 200 units of masks. And what we do is we send it to non-health workers that actually need masks. So we send to Ekiti State government for their cleaners, whatever. We've also sent to Food Click, so at every point in time, we're sending that to organizations. So when customers buy masks on Printivo, they're literally just, when they buy when they buy 5 units of masks, they've sent 1 mask to someone out there who couldn't afford to get a mask. I mean, I've seen that for quite a number of people out there, having a good mask is even a loss. It's even loss. Like I've seen all kind of masks on the road. I've seen people tying handkerchiefs. I've seen all sorts of things. So being able to even just throw that out there is a lot to us, and that we would have been able to do even without our customers, because it's literally the customers buying masks for the people. And we've even had instances where people come on the website and they're like, I'm ordering 500 masks, which means that an extra 100 to be shipped out, but the whole 600 masks, please ship it out to people.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. That's so nice.
Yeah. So, and we ship out and then send them the reporting to say, oh, these are photo proofs and the mask will be delivered to XYZ people. So again, it's just understanding that you're not just in this alone, you are in this with your customers.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's really great. And I think the fact that you guys are actually thinking about, the people around you in your community and sending out masks as well, that's great. And I can also imagine that a lot of companies are actually making orders for like branded.
Yes, for branded masks, for their team, for promotions, for all those stuff. Trust me, I'm selling masks now. I'm not just a
mask seller.
I'm a mask seller now. With my chest.
But I mean, I think it's great, and I think it speaks to the fact that you have to be innovative and you have to be able to, to pivot.
Absolutely.
Depending on what the client brings. So I mean, I think that's great, and I actually commend you for that. I think that's really great. So this has been really fun. I've had a great time talking to you and getting to know a little bit about, the brains behind Printivo, and I think I have an understanding why it's such a successful company. Because I think that you think outside the box, and it's quite evident. So it's been really nice speaking with you. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Most welcome. You're most welcome. And we look forward to keeping in touch, and hopefully we'll purchase some of these personalized PPE.
Oh, yes. So, I mean, we are always open. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right, Yomi. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right, guys, so thank you so much for tuning into yet another edition of Scaling Through Crisis. I had a great time speaking to Yomi, who is the CEO of Printivo, Nigeria. It's been really interesting just finding out how essentially they've been able to scale from, he started his printing company from a need-based perspective. He was unhappy with the printing company that was offering him services and decided to start his own company. He bootstrapped, and then he was able to raise significant funding from VCs as well as angel investors. So I think the story is interesting because most printing houses don't scale to the level that Printivo has, and it's quite interesting. So they're also selling personalized PPE equipment for anybody that is interested. So thank you so much for tuning in to yet another edition of Scaling Through Crisis by BusinessDay in partnership with Endeavor Nigeria. My name is Lehlé Balde, and you can catch up on this series on the BusinessDay YouTube channel, and also